Oh no, it shows I'm using pure BD craft times 64. That's my texture pack. If you've been watching up to this point and been like, what's he using, bro? That looks beautiful. I see the player you mean. Shadows? Yes. Take care. It has reached a higher level now. It can read our thoughts. That doesn't matter. It thinks we are a part of the game. I like this player. It played well. It did not give up. It is reading our thoughts as though we were words on a screen. That is how it chooses to imagine many things. When it is a deep dream of the game. Words make a wonderful interface, very flexible, and is less terrifying than staring at the reality behind the screen. They used to hear voices. Before players could read, back in the days when those who did not play called the players witches and warlocks, and players dreamed they flew through the air on sticks, powered by demons. What did the player dream? This player dreamed of sunlight and trees, of fire and water. It dreamed it created, it dreamed it destroyed. It dreamed it hunted, and it was hunted. It dreamed of shelter. The original interface, 1,000,000 years old, and it still worked. But what its true structure did the player create in reality behind the screen? It worked with 1,000,000 others to sculpt a true world in the fold of the and created a for in the. It cannot read that thought. No. It has not yet achieved this level. That it must achieve in the long dream of life, not to short the dream of a game. But does it know if we love it, that the universe is kind? Sometimes the noise of its thoughts, it hears the universe, yes. But there are times it is sad. In the long dream, it creates worlds that have no summer, and it shivers under a black sun. And it takes a sad creation for reality to cure it of sorrow. Destroy it. The sorrow is part of its own private task. We cannot interfere. Sometimes when they are deep in dreams, I want to tell them they are building true worlds in reality. Sometimes I want to tell them of their importance to the universe. Sometimes when they have not made a true connection in a while, I want to help them to speak to the world they fear. It reads our thoughts. Sometimes I do not care. Sometimes I wish to tell them, this world you take for truth is merely and agony. I wish to tell them that they are in the. They see so little of reality in their long dream, and yet they play the game. But it would be so easy to tell them. Too strong for this dream. To tell them how to live is to prevent them living. I will not tell the player how to live. The player is growing restless. I will tell the player a story, but not the truth. No. The story that contains the truth safely in a cage of words, not the naked truth that can burn over any distance. Give it a body. Again! Yes, player. Use its name. Shadadaz. Player of games. Good. Take a breath now. Take another. Feel air in your lungs. Let your limbs return. Yes, move your fingers. Have a body again under gravity and air. Respawn in the long dream. There you are, your body touching the universe again at every point, as though you were separate things, as though they were separate things! Who are we? Once we were called the spirit of the mountain, Father Sun, Mother Moon, ancestral spirits, animal spirits, jinn, ghosts, the green man, the gods, demons, angels, poltergeists, aliens, extraterrestrials, leptons, quarks. The words change. We do not change. We are the universe. We are everything you think isn't you. You are looking at us now, through your skin and your eyes. And why does the universe touch your skin and throw light on you? To see you, player, to know you, and to be known. I shall tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a player. That player was you, shithouse. Sometimes it thought itself human on the thin crust of a spinning globe of molten rock. The ball of molten rock circled a ball of blazing gas that was 330,000 times more massive than it. They were so far apart that light took 8 minutes to cross the gap. The light was information from a star, and it could burn your skin from 150 million kilometers away. Sometimes the player dreamed it was a miner on the surface of a world that was flat and infinite. The sun was square of white. The days were short. There was much to do, and death was a temporary inconvenience. Sometimes the player dreamed it was lost in a story. Sometimes the player dreamed it was other things and other places. Sometimes these dreams were disturbing. Sometimes very beautiful indeed. Sometimes the player woke from one dream into another and woke from that into a third. Sometimes the player dreamed it watched words on a screen. Let's go back. The atoms of the player were scattered in the grass and the rivers and the air and the ground. A woman gathered the atoms. She drank and ate and inhaled, and the woman assembled the player in her body. And the player awoke from the warm, dark world of its mother's body into the long dream. And the player was a new story, never told before, written in letters of DNA. The player was a new program, never run before, generated by his source code, 1 billion years old. And the player was a new human, never alive before, made from nothing but milk and love. You are the player, the story, the program, the human, made from nothing but milk and love. Let's go further back. The 7 billion atoms of the player's body were created long before this game in the heart of a star. So the player too is information from a star, and the player moves through a story which is a forest of information planted by a man called Julian on a flat, infinite world created by a man called Marcus that exists inside a small private world created by the player, who inhabits a universe created by... Shush! Sometimes the player created a small private world that was soft and warm and simple, sometimes hard and cold and complicated. Sometimes it built a model of the universe in its head, flecks of energy, moving through vast empty spaces. Sometimes it called those flecks electrons and protons. Sometimes it called them planets and stars. Sometimes it believed it was in a universe that was made of energy, that was made of offs and ons, zeros and ones, lines of code. Sometimes it believed it was playing a game. Sometimes it believed it was reading words on a screen. You are the player, reading the words. Shush! Sometimes the player read lines of code on a screen, decoded them into words, decoded words into meaning, decoded meaning into feelings, emotions, theories, ideas, and the player started to breathe faster and deeper and realized it was alive. It was alive. These 1,000 deaths had not been real. The player was alive. You are alive. And sometimes the player believed the universe had spoken to it through the sunlight that came through the shifting leaves of the summer trees. And sometimes the player believed the universe had spoken to it through the light that fell from the crisp night sky of winter, where a fleck of light in the corner of the player's eye might be a star 1,000,000 times as massive as the sun, boiling its planets to plasma in order to be visible for a moment to the player. Walking home at the far side of the universe, suddenly smelling food, almost at the familiar door, about to dream again. And sometimes the player believed in the universe had spoken through the zeros and ones, through the electricity in the world, through the scrolling words on the screen at the end of the dream. And the universe said, I love you. And the universe said, you have played the game well. And the universe said, everything you need is within you. And the universe said, you are stronger than you know. And the universe said, you are the daylight. And the universe said, you are the night. And the universe said, the darkness you fight is within you. And the universe said, the light you seek is within you. And the universe said, you are not alone. The universe said you are not separate from every other thing. And the universe said you are the universe tasting itself, talking to itself, reading its own code. And the universe said, I love you, because you are love. And the game was over, and the player woke up from the dream. And the player began a new dream. And the player dreamed again, dreamed better. And the player was the universe. And the player was love. You are the player. Wake up. Copyright. While the poem has been in the game since its release, Mojang and Microsoft neither own the poem or the permission to use it, according to the original author Julian Go. Julian stated that due to poor and unpleasant communication between him and Carl Mane, then CEO of Mojang, he refused to sign a contract to fully transfer the rights of the poem to Mojang after he finished the poem. Though they may reach an informal agreement in August 2014, a month before Microsoft purchased Mojang for $25 billion, Carl contacted Julian again, asking him to sign the contract. Julian refused once more, therefore owns all rights to the poem. On December 7th, 2022, Julian announced that the poem is released under the CC0 1.0 Universal CC0 1.0 license. You know, my favorite part about recording this wasn't just seeing Mario pop up when I typed in /imagine Shadados again, or when I put in all the symbolism and it came up with some absolutely weird, vague symbolism. It was when I found that out. And, you know, quite frankly, that didn't stop me from making this video. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope it shows the effort that I put into it, because it was a lot. Like, for instance, there's /imagine the universe says you are not alone, and it looks like that, which is very nice and, you know, poetic. But imagine you are not alone just on its own is like a nightmare. So when I know what the poetry is trying to sell, I'll pick the better one. Also, if you guys want to see any of these images, like full images, just, I guess I'll put them all into a Dropbox one day if people actually want to see that. Other than that, just screenshot them or something. I don't know. Hit me up and maybe I can send you one if you really want. But also, in reality, it's impossible to read this poem. It is literally impossible to read it while in game. And here is what it sounds if you were actually trying to read it. The molten rock circled an amazing blaze. It was 130 times more massive than it. It was far apart than the light. Took 8 minutes to cross the gap. The light was in formation of the star, and it burned your skin from 1,150 miles. Sometimes the player dreamed it was a miner on the surface of the world that was flat and infinite, and it was square and white. The days were short, and there was much to do in death and a temporary inconvenience. So, yeah, I actually had to go back and re-record some of those lines, and it's Buddhism. You're not alone in this universe. You know, the universe loves you. It's all about finding your inner peace and not judging yourself, but finding the good in yourself, and, you know, kind of not really focusing as much on the bad, but realizing the bad is there and that you need to still think about it and go through it in order to become a better person and all that. It's very good teachings, but it is a bit disappointing that it is really long and not really sensical unless you have a way to show a bunch of symbolism really simply in a short span of time, like I did, it just kind of flows over the person's head because they can't even read it that fast. I mean, of course, this isn't going to be and the guy has it patented. Okay, well, here you go, Julian. You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed it. And see you next time. Bye bye.